Hi guys, welcome back to If the Gap Exists with Daphne.
And with Senna, I don't know what to talk about. How
I
did you
don't know.
find it?
It was one of the most, if I could say boring races. I feel like today we're just gonna have like a very quick recap because there's not really much to say about this race. Nothing really eye-catching happened. Nothing really. To be fair, I forgot a lot of what happened in the race because of how
Yeah.
unentertaining it was. I think the only thing that stood out to me, Ferrari bottling the strategy, if you could call it that. But aside that, nothing really spoke to me. How about you?
Yeah, I agree to a large extent. I wouldn't even call it boring. I'd just say uneventful. There's
Hmm.
nothing really to speak about. Like you said, Ferrari can't hack their strategy again. I don't know what was going on, but every time they put on hard tires, they go backwards. I mean, obviously in qualifying, they were quite fortunate to start second and third. But
Yeah,
even then, Leclerc was just going backwards the whole race.
right?
So was Hamilton. And it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. To start second and third and to finish fifth and eighth wasn't the best. I know Lewis has always talked about how it hasn't really been his best tracks, but I can't tell if it's him not liking the track or it's a Ferrari thing. Because then again, um, Charles also didn't finish quite well. He started second and he finished in eighth. Their strategy in terms of changing the tires didn't work well at all for them. I think
Yeah,
they had three stops or four. I don't know. It just didn't.
yeah, I
It
think
was
it was
very
about
bad.
three each. And even then, I would say I've noticed that Charles Leclerc is in a bit of like even a run of poor form at the moment. Because obviously Monaco didn't finish the race, wasn't necessarily his fault, but still. Barcelona, he was basically a non-entity. And then in
Yeah,
this race, ended up finishing six places behind where he qualified.
started. Yeah.
Obviously, the Ferraris weren't looking good this weekend anyway, so we knew that he'd go backwards. But to eighth was a bit of a shock.
Hmm.
So who knows? Maybe he can arrest this dip in form in Silverstone, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I will say that, there was a little point where he and Lewis had a little bit of a battle. And for a second, I thought they were going to crash. And I don't know how I felt about that. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was right at the beginning. I think it would been like turns six, seven, eight around that like more technical part of the track where there's a lot of very tight racing there. And even with Lewis versus Hamilton over there, Lewis versus Hamilton, Lewis versus Verstappen, sorry,
Hmm.
over there, they both got really close to each other a couple of
Yeah.
times. And I'm so surprised that Lewis didn't crash into Leclerc or Verstappen and they kept it all quite clean, which those were the few highlights of the race, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Hmm.
yeah, nothing really.
I
The
feel like with
safety cars didn't
Verstappen,
even. Sorry, go on.
I feel like even with Verstappen, it didn't. I feel like they almost crashed. And Max was on the radio trying to make a report. It was under investigation, and it just reminded me of Max. This season he's been a bit quiet because he's not in the running. But it just reminds me of how whenever he's in the running, he always wants to clear everyone out of the way and has a lot to
Yeah.
complain about. It was quite interesting seeing that Max back again because he's been quiet for some time. But
Well,
yeah.
I guess that's because they brought a ton of upgrades.
Hmm.
And if Max hadn't maybe crashed in qualifying, started up front row like he probably should have, I reckon he would have run that race because by the end of it, he was pulling in Russell so quickly. You'd think maybe five more laps and he'd be ahead. But then again, Antonelli was pulling in both of them even
I know,
quicker.
right?
So who knows
I
what would have
know.
happened?
And I feel like it was just at the last corner, Antonelli almost overtook him because he was just um 0.0004 seconds behind him or so. So he almost did, but then they were on the last corner, and I guess he just gave up on that. But I think Antonelli definitely would have bypassed both of them if they had more time. I mean, it is good to see Max back. This is his second podium this season. It is good to see him back in the mix. I hope that Red Bull has been able to crack what they need to crack, and he comes into the mix with Mercedes and then the Ferraris.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's more entertaining when it's the Mercedes are actually getting challenged for the
Hmm.
wins. So it's good to see Max back.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the McLarens. Norris just have no pace for some reason, but the whole build up towards the weekend, like as a practice qualifying, they seemed to be there or thereabouts. And
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
when the race came around, they fell away.
Yeah.
Piastri has just been a non-entity this whole season, so I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully they can bring it back for Silverstone. Norris
Yeah.
won it last year, so maybe he can challenge again this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, usually after a championship, the champions, especially constructors, they come in with some sort of, momentum. They're in the mix. But I think at the beginning they kind of weren't, and then, when they cracked the engine issue, they came up a bit, and I was like they've fallen short again. I actually don't know what's going on with McLaren. It's reminding me of the old days when they weren't even in the contention like with other teams, with the Ferraris, the Mercedes, the Red Bulls. It's like they've gone back to being the leaders in the, like, midfields. Well, we still have a few more episodes, I mean a few more races to go. There's more to see. Like, who would have thought Red Bull would be doing a bit better? Will we see them in action? Last time Norris was on the podium, I mean, so we'll see how that goes.
True, but I think at the same time, I'd say that I do like how one week a team is doing really well, another week
Hmm.
it's another team that seems to be dominating because
Yeah,
it keeps
yeah.
it competitive. It makes it
Hmm.
a lot harder to predict what's going to happen.
Going to happen, yeah.
I don't think I've got a single prediction right this whole
Oh,
season, but I will continue again later this episode and maybe I finally get it right. But
right, yeah. So do you want us to talk about? I mean, I feel like we did say at the beginning that this was going to be a quick recap, and it feels as if it's been very quick.
yeah.
Like we've run through. So I mean, we have Silverstone coming up this weekend. Do you want to say your predictions for it? I mean, you say I don't know if you want to be confident about it, but I think you should go for it.
Yeah, I do everything with chest, so why stop now? I reckon Antonelli wins. Hamilton
Mm,
will be on the podium, as will Verstappen.
okay, that's interesting. I would say definitely Lewis, and he's going to win at Silverstone. I mean, if we look at his history, if you give him a right car, good car, I feel like the Ferrari is there, and he knows that track well. It's one of the tracks he really likes. I think if they get the strategy right, like they did in Barcelona, Lewis is definitely going to take that win. I do think Antonelli is also going to be on the podium. Um, I will say George as well. I would love to see Max there, but I think George is going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's quite hard to write off any of the British
Mhm.
drivers at
Mhm.
Silverstone. They all seem to do well there. Like I said earlier, Norris won it last year, so
Mhm.
if he's got the car for it, which he's got the engine for it, we just don't know about the rest of the car.
Yeah. Does he
For
even
all
have
we
the
know,
engine for it?
well, he's got a Mercedes engine, so
Which has
technically, yeah,
problems. Because look at Sainz. Sainz, he didn't finish the race. I feel like every time there's a Mercedes car that has an issue with their power. So,
yeah,
mhm,
that is very true. But I think that if the Mercedes engine works properly, it's by far the best engine, or at least the best power unit as a
that's
whole.
fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, assuming all things equal,
Yeah,
I think Norris will be very close to the podium, if not on the podium.
on the podium.
The Red Bull, at least in Verstappen's hand, seems to be very quick, or at least especially in a straight line. And we know Silverstone's got a lot of straight lines, so yeah, I could
Yeah.
definitely see them there. But I just can't write off Antonelli winning because his race
But that's what I was
pace
gonna
is
say.
just.
You've just mentioned four people, so
It,
who
look,
they
listen,
can
if
all
the
be
pod,
there.
I couldn't tell you, I couldn't tell you who's going to be there. I'm going to stick with my prediction,
Of
and
four
I'm giving
people.
of
That's
three of Lewis, Max, and Antonelli.
Antonelli. Okay.
I think Antonelli wins because I think his race pace is just so much.
Mm,
He's just so far beyond everyone else that I think he will win. I
okay.
don't think the Ferrari's got a quick enough car to win on pace alone. And I'd just back Verstappen. I think if Verstappen's got a half decent car, you can't write him off.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it would be very entertaining if there would be a bit of weather about. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I mean,
Fingers crossed on that.
oh, the UK recently has been terrible. We had like mid-30s last week, which I know in Ghana that's normal, but in UK mid-30s means we're literally in an oven. So
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, this weekend is going to be, I think from Thursday till Sunday, we're going to have a lot of like rain pouring here. I don't know if the same will apply in the UK, but if it does, I'm sure it will benefit Lewis a lot. He loves a wet race. If it doesn't too, I think he can still take it, and we'll see. Fingers crossed until the next time.
I think I'm just checking my phone now, and it is looking like it's going to be
Mm.
dry this weekend.
Oh,
So unfortunately, we won't have that. But either way, I think Silverstone has always been a good race, so I can
yep,
see it
it's never
being a great
boring.
race. Yeah, we won't
Yeah,
have a
it's
repeat of this weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
hopefully, fingers crossed indeed. Okay, well, I think then it's a wrap for us tonight. I will say thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Until then, this has been F the Gap Exists with Daphne and
And bestseller. Thank you. See you later.
okay, bye.
Bye.